This is going to sting a little. But if you actually let it land, it might change everything for you because the gap between where you are right now and where you say you want to be isn't about luck, talent, or timing. It's about what you're avoiding every single day. And most people don't fail because they're incapable, they fail because they stay comfortable. And comfort is the quiet killer of progress. You already know what you should be doing. And that's part no one wants to admit. It's not a mystery. It's not a hidden behind some secret course or algorithm. It's the work you keep putting off, the hard conversations you dodge, the discipline you keep negotiating with like it's optional. And every time you choose the easy route, you're reinforcing the version of yourself that stays stuck. That's the truth. The version of you that wins doesn't think differently at first, they act differently. Especially when they don't feel like it. And that's the separation point. Feeling don't matter nearly as much as people think, and motivation is unreliable. It shows up when it's convenient, and it disappears when it's time to actually perform. So if you're waiting to feel ready, you're already behind. The people who move forward are the ones who act while it's uncomfortable, while it's inconvenient, while it feels like nothing is working yet. And that's the phase most people quit in, the invisible progress phase. No results, no validation, no external proof, just repetition and doubt. And that's where the shift happens, but only if you stay in it long enough. You don't need more information, you need more execution. You don't need a better plan. You need to follow through on the one you already made. Look at your last week honestly. How much time did you spend doing things that actually move your life forward versus things that just feel productive and or distract you? Because being busy is not the same as making progress. You can fill your entire day and still go absolutely nowhere. And that's what most people are doing. They're active. They're just not effective. They're reacting. They're not building. And then they wonder why nothing changes. If your current habits are producing your current results, then nothing changes until your habits do. It's that simple and that hard. Because changing habits means changing identity. It means becoming someone who does things they used to avoid. Someone who follows through, someone who keeps promises to themselves even when no one is watching. And that's where most people break. They rely on external pressure instead of internal standards. If no one's checking, they slack. If no one is watching, they stop. The truth is, the life you want is built in those unseen moments. It's built when you choose discipline over distraction, when you do the work without applause, when you keep going without immediate results. That's the cost. And if you're not willing to pay that cost consistently, you're choosing the outcome you currently have. And that might sound harsh, but it's actually empowering because it means you're in control. You're not fully, not perfectly, but enough to change your trajectory. And the problem is, control comes with responsibility, and responsibility is uncomfortable. It means you can't blame your situation forever. And at some point, you have to ask, what am I doing that keeps me here? Not what happened to you, not what's unfair, not what someone else did. What are you doing right now that's reinforcing your current reality? The question's uncomfortable because it puts the focus back on you. But that's also where the leverage is because if your actions are part of the problem, they're also the solution. You don't need a complete life overhaul overnight. You need to stop breaking the small promises you make to yourself. That's where confidence actually comes from. Not an affirmation, not hype, but evidence. When you say you're going to do something and then you do it, you build trust with yourself. And when that trust builds, your standards rise. You stop tolerating the version of you that cuts corners. You stop negotiating with excuses. You start expecting more from yourself and then meeting that expectation. That's how identity shifts, not through one big moment, but through hundreds of small consistent decisions that stack over time. And here's the part people really don't like to hear. No one is coming to save you. No opportunity, no person, no perfect moment is going to suddenly make everything click. You are the variable. You are the deciding factor. And until you accept that fully, you'll keep waiting instead of acting. You're waiting for the right time, the right energy, the right conditions, but the right time is almost always inconvenient. And that's why most people never start. They overthink, they hesitate, they analyze every angle until the opportunity passes or the urgency fades. Meanwhile, the people who move forward are the ones who start before they feel ready and figured out as they go. Progress favors action, not perfection. And yes, you will mess up. I do it all the time. You will feel behind. And you will compare yourself to people who seem further ahead. That's part of it. But none of that stops you unless you let it. And what actually stops you is the decision to quit, to scroll instead of build, to distract instead of focus, to delay instead of act. And those decisions, they feel small in the moment, but they compound just like good ones do. And every day you either reinforce the person you want to become or the person you're trying to outgrow. There's no neutral. So if you've been feeling stuck, unmotivated, or frustrated, don't just look at your goals. Look at your system. Look at your routines. Look at what you do when no one is watching. Because that's the real driver of your results. Not what you say or what you want, but what you consistently do. And if those two things don't match, that's the gap you need to close. Not with intensity for a few days, but with consistency over time. And that's less exciting, but it's what works. You don't need to be extreme. You need to be reliable. You need to show up on the days you don't feel like it and still do the work, even if it's not perfect, especially if it's not perfect. Because perfection is often just another form of procrastination. It's a way to delay putting something real out into the world where it can be judged, but nothing improves until it exists. You can't refine what you never start. So start messy, start imperfect, and just start and then keep going long enough to get better. That's part people underestimate. The time it takes to actually see meaningful results. Everyone wants the outcome, but few are willing to stay consistent through the boring middle. That's where most people drop off. And that's where you can separate yourself if you choose to stay. And staying doesn't mean burning out. It means being steady. It means creating a pace you can sustain, not just a burst you can't maintain. Because this isn't about one good week or one motivated push. It's about who you become over months, years, and just of showing up. That's how real change happens. So if this hit a little hard, it's supposed to. Not to tear you down, but to wake you up. Because you're capable of more than what you're currently settling for. But capability doesn't mean anything without action, and action doesn't mean anything without consistency. So stop waiting for a feeling that isn't required. Stop looking for shortcuts that don't exist and start doing the work you already know you need to do. Tomorrow, and not next week. Today, even if it's small, even if it's imperfect, because every time you follow through, you're casting a vote for the person you're becoming, and those votes add up faster than what you think.